Okay, welcome back to Latin, guys. We're going to keep doing the online classes for a while, obviously. So enjoy the comfort of your homes as we continue to work our way to about chapter 24. That's the end goal for the end of May, whether we're back in the building or not by then. Yeah, I hope you guys had a good break. All right. Okay. Very interesting time, obviously. Um, yeah, it's who knows? Who knows? I hope all of you guys are doing well though, and your families as well. And yeah, just try to think of the upside of all of this, which includes us all being able to truly chill out and learn from home. And we'll all have a very interesting story about the spring of 2020. So, moving right along, we have a few mottos. Okay, not a Monday motto, I guess. It's Wednesday when you're watching this, but it's a motto nonetheless. So this is a very straightforward, simple motto from the Polytechnica University of Timisoara, which I'm surely pronouncing correctly. Okay, hopefully all of that is very familiar to you. And I am actually just kidding. Okay, that's Romanian. That's not Latin. Uh, I was just searching for if any of our chapter 20 vocabulary words showed up in any mottos, and I stumbled upon this. And it was actually very fortuitous because I think this is a super appropriate motto. And Romanian it's the forgotten romance language. I mean, go figure that Romanian is a romance language. But yeah, it's just across the Mediterranean to the east of the Italian peninsula. So it would not take much to get Latin to travel to that area. That was a kind of Roman territory starting in like the 2nd century CE. But anyway, it's not the walls that make a school, but the spirit living inside. So maybe this was appropriate last year when we had a rented building, and it's even more appropriate now. Okay, here's an actual Latin one. This takes no thought whatsoever. It's from Andrews University in Michigan, Corpus Main Spiritus. What could that be? You can always pause, keep that in mind. I'm not going to belabor that point, but throughout these videos, obviously you're going to be needing to pause it at your own pace. Okay, and so this would be body, mind, and spirit. Okay, you can see the motto there on the seal for Andrews University. Uh, we have seen the word animus, which kind of combines mains and spiritus. It can be both spirit and mind. It's something that ancient Romans might have thought of as being the same thing. And still to this day, delineating such concepts is rather difficult. Okay, this one actually takes maybe a little bit of translating, like actual translating. Spiritus est qui vivificat. Uh, this is from Duquesne University of the Holy Spirit in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Once again, you can actually see the motto printed there on the seal. It's kind of nice. And the only thing we don't have here is vivificio vivificare, to give life. It's obviously similar to vivo vivere, which is just to live. But we do have a bit of a what kind of clause, people, with that qui there. It must be a relative clause because I don't see a question mark. It's not like, I mean, qui wouldn't be showing up there if it was a relative or interrogative, rather, pronoun. Anyway, so my big hint for this is probably that you want to think of this as a expletive um, construction, which if you're like, I don't know what that means at all. For one thing, we're all going to be pretty rusty, all right? Even taking a single week off of Latin, you come back to Latin and it starts to kind of fry your brain a little bit. So go easy on yourself for today and Friday. It's going to take a second to snap back into where you were before the break. Okay, so by expletive, I basically means that that's the same thing that happens when we say like it is raining. Something like it is the spirit that gives life. Okay, so I mean, you barely even think of this as a relative clause here, the qui vivificat, but qui technically its antecedent is spiritus. You could also do something like the spirit is that which gives life. But that is kind of like you're having to do more with qui there. That which you would almost need like two pronouns in that translation. Good. Okay. All right. This is the week. Another perk of all of this is that we have 3 days a week. So, well, of actual like video content, and that'll be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So this is a shorter week, obviously. And Tuesday, Thursdays will be tutoring days, meaning like those are days when you're doing homework from the previous day. Homework will always be due at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I guess Sunday night too. And what else was I gonna say? Uh, yeah, so you can like contact me on Tuesdays and Thursdays if you're really stumped with the homework. So yeah, even though we're doing the online stuff now, don't let that discourage you from like really actually trying to like, master this material in the same way you would if we were actually at school. But anyway, we're gonna like kind of like brush up on chapter 20 by looking at some sententiae in this video. And then on Thursday, or by Thursday night, you need to turn in the lectiones. I spelled that. I left out a T. Okay, for the way I'm doing it right now, I can't actually modify that. But it'll be the first five lectiones due by 8 p.m. on Thursday night, and then we will go over those on Friday's video. And maybe next week we'll figure out some kind of translation video. Or I'm sorry, translation quiz. Yeah. I'm gonna trust you guys with doing quizzes on your own. Um, but yeah, just please be mature about that. Okay, this is the Lectione sentences, or these are those sentences, and I will have typed these up in the Google form for Wednesday. And there will be more instructions there. And this is not actually in your textbook. This is from the workbook, which you don't have. So you'll need to actually look at the form, and you can paste them into a document if you don't want to keep the form open or print them out or do whatever you need to do to make it to where you actually spend some time on this and actually give it its due diligence. Like I said, we're going to be rusty this week, so plan to take a good 20, 30 minutes or however long it takes to work through these and try to get somewhere with them on your own without any online aid, unless it's just looking at this, which is relevant. Remember, this guy and this guy those are your buddies for this chapter, and then maybe I'll figure out. I'll get some like a document with the information about the ablatives, because we do have two types of ablatives in chapter. But other than that, we have a not too bad set of vocab. Many of which are fourth declension nouns, and then we actually have those green fourth declension endings, which we're dealing with. Okay, so hopefully you have your textbooks. And if you don't, you could always just order one for, well, I don't know how you could go about getting another textbook at this point, honestly. Okay, but let's look at some Sententiae Antiqui. We have 3 of these today for today's video. I really want you to pause these when we get to this. So, like, you can literally pause it right now in the middle of me talking and try to work through this. And Kerwas is the only glossed word here. It means stag or deer. Okay, give it a shot, guys. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. So what are we seeing Cornua here? Cornua, what's going on there? Well, that A is going to tell me a couple of things. It is either a plural subject or a plural direct object. Look at the lower right corner where those. Oh, can I actually point to them? I don't know if y'all can see my mouse. I'm testing the new method for screen capture, which hopefully is not cropping my screen at all anymore. So that A tells me that this is a plural subject or direct object. Like I said, cornus is one of the only, or cornus rather, is one of the only neuter nouns we actually have. Neuter fourth declension is wacky because on the singular side, the long U indicates one of 4 possible cases, which is crazy. Again, I'm looking at those orange endings, but when I just see this A here, that's either a plural subject or direct object. Okay, and which one is it? I run into Kerwum immediately after this, and that clears it up, because if you look at Kerwas, Kerwi, it is a second declension noun. It's masculine, so Kerwum there, that's the direct object, which must mean that Cornua is the subject. And then a periculis, what is that? So, well, I already said Kerwum is the direct object. A periculis is going to be some kind of what case? Anyone? It's going to be either ablative or dative, and the ah tells me it's definitely ablative. That east should be a giveaway for ablative or dative plural. We've had periculum since chapter 4. And so green is the official color I'm going to use for ablative. I've decided, okay, red is direct object, green is going to be ablatives. I'll probably do datives in blue, and we'll figure out the rest as we go. But defendant is our new verb, and that's a pretty easy one to translate. So, like I said, we do have these different types of ablatives right now. This one would be an ablative of separation or place from which. And it's going to be separation. Okay, you're defending something from something else. Also, separation is going to be showing up um, sometimes with an awe. And yeah, it's not a place. Danger is not quite a place. I guess maybe like an abstract place. But it's just from danger. Is how we're going to translate that. So horns defend the deer from danger. Danger is technically plural, but either way. All right, and there's a nice mosaic of a Carolus. Okay, let's keep moving. Hopefully that one was pretty straightforward. We have subject right up next to a direct object, and then a little prepositional phrase with our new ablative of separation. Okay, this next one, I'm actually not going to translate it because these videos are for 8th and ninth graders. And this one is referencing a scene from Oedipus. And you can do it on your own, I guess. But it basically gives away the ending to the Oedipus play, which we will be doing in ninth grade literature. So I don't want to spoil it for my 8th graders. It is a pivotal scene. It actually occurs off stage. Greek tragedy had strict rules about what could or could not happen um, on stage. Okay, moving right along then to the one we actually are going to do. This one, Themistocles, Bello Persico Graecium Seratute Liberavit. Persica means Persian. Last time we saw this word was way back last year when we did the Leonidas related, or Leonidas, depending, reading about the Battle of Thermopylae. Okay, so Themistocles, that's just a name, and I'll just tell you it's going to be the nominative form. And then Bello Persico. Wonder what that could be. It could be one of two things. We don't really know for sure, but when I see a verb like liberavit, I am not expecting a dative, so it must be an ablative. Okay, and then Graecium, that must be a what? Anyone? Go ahead and say it out loud, even if it feels weird. Uh, yeah, it's a direct object. Exactly. Okay, and then Serawatute. I'm kind of spoiling it, but that E, this is a newer word, but that E should be a giveaway that this must be ablative. Okay, so we have two ablatives surrounding what is most likely an accusative direct object. And then liberavit, that's a newish verb that's super easy to remember. Yeah, so let's see. Again, you can pause it, but I'm going to move on ahead. Uh, what's tricky about this, I guess, is that we have two separated like ablative noun phrases. One being bello persico, another being serawatute. So we're having to figure out like what kind of prepositions are we going to be using for either of them, and it's probably going to be different. Bello persico must be an ablative of anyone. It's kind of like time when. It's also kind of place where at the same time. Um, a war is kind of a time and a place, weirdly. Okay, paradoxically, maybe. I don't know. Graecium, that's a direct object, like I already said. And the seratute, again, is that ablative of separation or place from which? Remember, an ablative of a place from which is just, for one thing, the noun is going to be describing a place. It could technically be like an abstract location, but it'll probably be like an actual place. And that's going to get ex ob or day, which I don't see. So this must just be separation. Um, can show up with an ablative separation, but most likely it will not. So What happened in the first sentence is a little rare. Okay. So, what are we going to get for this? Let's see here. Themistocles in the Persian War. I would even be okay with like, let's just go with in. I was gonna say during, but we should do in. Liberated. Liberavit is what tense is that? If I'm doing liberated, it's not liberabat. Though I could translate that the same way. This is perfect tense, VIT, third person singular perfect. Right there. If my mouse works, I'm not sure. From servitude. And this is true. This is true. Like historically. Okay, Themistocles was a general. And that's a cool name. It's a cool name, Greek general. Okay, let's keep moving. Our last one for the day. Going kind of easy on you guys today, but we'll get into some bigger readings next week after we check the Lectiones on Friday. All right, Demosthenes multos versus uno spiritu pronuntiabat. Demosthenes, again, this is a name. He's going to be the subject. And maybe you remember Demosthenes, maybe not. If you do, this translation is maybe even easier because the context this is you'll actually know it. But he came up when we talked about Cicero and Cicero's inspiration. So I'll go into a little more once we actually translate it. But Demosthenes, that's the subject. Then multos versus. What's going on with multos versus? Well, when I see multos, you're hopefully thinking of a accusative, right? That long os ending, and then it's right up next to versus, and we need to kind of brush up and like, can versus be a direct object, right? That's something we should be asking ourselves because multos is right next to it, and versus is from this new declension. So if you're not totally familiar with the fourth declension yet, which that'd be crazy if you were totally familiar with it, given that it's so new, you're gonna need to look at this. And when we look at it at the actual fourth declension endings, we see that this could be accusative plural. Fortunately, I guess I left off that macron. I did, yeah. But it's down there in the actual chart. Fructus, okay. So this long us, it can be genitive singular or nominative or accusative plural. So it's a little tricky. We're not really used to that. We're used to genitive overlapping with nominative plural in the first two declensions, and we're used to accusative plural overlapping with nominative plural in the third declension and neuter nouns. But all three of them overlapping, that's a little weird. But what are you going to do? And then uno spiritu. Okay, spiritus is not a neuter fourth declension noun, so we don't have to play that crazy game of guessing which of the four endings the long U could be. All right, uno spiritu, it must be what case, anyone? Ablative, exactly. So that's ablative. Those long macrons are just a dead giveaway. Just like a singular short E should be a dead giveaway for third declension nouns. And then pronuntiabat is this new vocabulary word that can mean to proclaim or to announce or to pronounce. I think it's actually going to be the most. It could be one. It could be a couple of those, but I think it's just going to be the most literal, obvious translation of that, which is to pronounce. So we end up with drumroll. Demosthenes pronounced, it's imperfect or was pronouncing many verses with a single breath. Okay, what kind of ablative was that? Uno spiritu. It was an ablative of means, so with. In English, we might say this as like in a single breath. So that works. That's like fine, but with is just as well. And yeah, this was true. This was the guy who, when he was young, apparently had a speech impediment that made it difficult for him to speak publicly. And the way he got around this, or like forced himself to enunciate like crazy, as in like crazy good, was he would just shove a bunch of rocks in his mouth, and then he would like talk through having all these pebbles in his mouth, and it made it to where he was like he could speak really well when he didn't have rocks in his mouth, I guess. So yeah, he had really good breath control in addition to his propensity for enunciation. Okay, hopefully those weren't too bad. we are ending up with a big pile of ablatives at this point. So it's like you got to be really quick on your toes sometimes when we end up with these ablatives that don't have any prepositions, which in this case we don't. Our default for that is means, but at this point, they could also be an ablative of separation if the verb is something that would take an ablative of separation, keeping something from something else or separating something from something else. So yeah, an ablative of time when, obviously. So that's getting a little tricky, but usually the context and like what the actual ablative is gonna kind of give it away. All right, I hope you actually pause these videos and kind of actually work through these on your own. All right, you'll notice I'm not making videos that are like actually 50 minutes. Part of that is because, unfortunately, I don't have class participation, which is a huge part of a Latin class. But that really is something you can simulate on your own if you're actually like pausing the video and taking a second to work through these on your own. All right. Um, Good. Okay, these are the Lectiones. Again, that is due on Thursday at 8 p.m. It's so yeah. Try to actually enter that into the Google Forms. I've had some people email me homework. That's like fine, but I will definitely leave stuff on the forms, or like there will be a part of the form that this video is included in where you can like enter those. The issue, I guess, is maybe people would like close the form and like have trouble getting back to it, maybe. So yeah, it is fine if you email it to me, but maybe try to keep this form open, um, or just have access to the email that the link is included in. Um, okay, so good luck with that, guys. I will look forward to looking over your translations. Give them a shot. Uh, and yeah, I hope you're all doing pretty good. I will talk to you soon. All right, thank you.